You're listening to Empowering Testimonies of Faith with Coach Jeff Connors. Join Coach C, USA Strength and Conditioning Hall of Famer and Certified Health and Life Coach every Monday night at 7 for Empowering Testimonies of Faith as diverse individuals from various professions share their personal journey, leading them to spiritual strength through surrendering themselves to Christ. Coach Connors aspires to influence others to choose a healthy threefold lifestyle with spirituality as the powerful foundation. Now, here is Coach Connors.
Welcome to Empowering Testimonies of Faith with our very special guest, certified health coach, 7th generation shamanic Reiki master, ageless grace educator, Carol Lake. Carol, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for letting me be here and share my passion about health and wellness, and most of all, spirituality.
No doubt. Purpose of my podcast, bring more people to Jesus Christ. So we love to hear your story and hear your successes and your challenges and basically things that other people can relate to. And you have a great story because anybody who's done what you've done a little bit later in life deserves a lot of credit. So we'll talk about that too, your bodybuilding career.
Absolutely. Anybody can do it.
Sounds good. So, Carol, what I want to do was I just wanted to kind of get your story, your life experience that brought you to a place of, wanting to dedicate yourself to helping others with regard to becoming more healthy. And so, what did that look like?
Growing up, I was born, first of all, I'm a twin, and I wasn't even known. So when I basically came out, I was feet first. So I hit the ground running. And my life had started off with, even as an infant, allergies, sensitivities. My mom would say she's just really highly sensitive. And that's probably part of my faith because I'm able to relate to so many people. Growing up, the food allergies, not being able to do certain things, being sick. My parents used to always think it was just, being part of a kid, being a child and, just being around people. However, my life kind of switched even more so is when I actually got on birth control pills and my body went haywire. Doctors, the way they fixed everything back then was with antibiotics. So I was always fed a cocktail of antibiotics to fix everything. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s and I kept talking to doctors going, something is just not right. I know you're saying I'm healthy. The blood work's coming back. There's something not right. And basically, I'm the one who diagnosed myself. I love Western medicine when it's needed, but I also believe in an approach that's more holistic. And this is just through trial and error. Right. So because of my own health issues in researching and being on the ground, praying to God, saying, can you please help me? What's going on? Led me to this revelation that I have people coming up to me now asking me kind of questions. I could be in a grocery store and I start talking to a stranger behind me and they ask me health questions and I kind of look at them and I always say lovingly, the angels talk. I just hear something and it's like, oh, you should do X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, thank you. And they go on their merry way. So that's when somebody said, why are you doing this? You should start helping people. And that's what got me into studying to become a certified health coach. And so I started doing that. And then I realized my faith is so strong that I love God, but I also love being on this planet Earth. How can I also serve people in another more spiritual way? And that's when I became a shamanic Reiki master, which incorporates God, earth energy, Mother Gaia. And I use that energy to help people as well. So I believe my own health journey, with actually a doctor telling me it was all in my head when I was there and I was broken out in hives and welts, and they're like, oh yeah, it's all in your head. And I'm like, okay, led me down my paths And that's where now I want to draw people to me that are having digestive issues, spiritual issues, any type of, even exercising, diet. They're drawn to me and I help them so that they can be steady on this earth. Because right now, everything's changing. I don't think there's not one person out there that has not felt something going on, even in their own personal life or with the people that they love and care about. So I'm here to help people get them back to where they need to be: healthy, strong, vibrant. As I say right now, my motto is let's not be vintage, let's be vibrant. I'm vibrant, not vintage, because we want to be on this earth and we want to live life to the fullest.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I want to get into some of the specific things that a whole lot of people don't think about with regard to preventing disease.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I just went through about 7-8 months of a certification with Health Coach Institute. I had coached a lot of football players for a long time. So this is a little bit different for me, and it's very interesting. And also the nature of my podcast has changed a little bit, where I'm trying to bring more females on and get a little bit of perspective from that standpoint, and more health and life coach type individuals as well. So I guess probably two things that stand out in my mind would be preventing heart disease and preventing diabetes. And so I was wondering if you could, let's just start with prevention of diabetes and your perspective on basically what's happening in our country with regard to that disease, pre-diabetes as well. Mm-hmm. What's causing us to go in that direction to such an extreme level. So give me your perspective on that.
All right. So, and I'm extremely passionate about this, so I'm going to probably talk a lot. Our food choices that people in America are making are poor, unfortunately. The food companies, instead of having nutritious, God-given ingredients, they've turned it into synthetic, processed, enriched with chemicals that our body cannot handle. Calcium carbonate. Yeah, that's not natural. That's like 1, degree change from being plasterboard. And everybody thinks it's healthy for the body. We are not fueling our body with what we did 25, even 30 years ago. So the first problem with our standard diet, which I know many people have already said it's sad, yes it is that it's processed. It's laden with tons of sugar, salt, chemicals that our body, our digestive system, our digestive tract cannot handle. Let's take, for instance, wheat. Wheat used to be 25, the growth of it with the germination of it, and now it's like 56 because we have modified it. So guess what that does to our human body? Our body needs the natural process of what's in food. So when I tell anybody, if you're going to start trying to change the American diet, it's got to start with what you're consuming. We don't want to eat the food that comes from fast food restaurants. We don't want to be picking up potato chips. We don't go into looking at over-processed food, packaged food, because yes, everybody is so time constrained today. They want it fast, they want it quick, they want it easy. We need to go back to what it was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, where you're making your dinners from scratch. You're buying the ingredients that are, I try to tell my clients, 5 or less. If you're going to look at a package, please let it be 5 or less ingredients. If you cannot pronounce the word and it's longer than the alphabet, you don't want to be putting that into your body, because your body is eventually going to come back, and it's going to come back in the form of being pre-diabetic, diabetic, high blood pressure. You're feeling sick all the time. You have acid reflux. You have no energy. Well, your body, your liver is trying to tell you something. So let's go back and let's make our food simple. That means let's start with what is lean, green, and clean. So when I say green, I'm talking about your fresh fruits and vegetables. Trying to buy them. And a lot of clients, they can't afford organic, non-GMO. Okay, that's fine. I have other ways and means to clean the chemicals and do what you need so that you can get what you can afford into your body. I'd rather see you eat the green and clean and lean than going out to the restaurant that has so much sodium in it and is over processed and chemicals, and start in your kitchen. Open up your refrigerator, open up your pantry, and see what you have in there. If it's not 5 or less ingredients, then we need to get rid of it. We can prevent these diseases and these health issues that most Americans are facing today.
So let's talk Dirty Dozen and Clean 15.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So when you're going to go to those Dirty Dozen foods, you're talking like your grapes, your strawberries, celery. I'm going to suggest with those top 10, 15, that I would highly recommend getting organic, non-GMO.
Right.
But still, when you get them home, you need to thoroughly clean them. Thoroughly clean them. I tell people, I go buy organic free range eggs. And when they come, I bring them home. And when I go to use them, I still wash the egg off, just because there's still chemicals. There's still a process that goes through it. When you buy your carrots, please buy the fresh that are organic, that has the long stems on them. Clean them real well, peel them, steam them, because everything has flavor to it. We have laced our tongues that we want it to taste and bring pleasure to our brain. And that's what is getting us into trouble. Our fruits and our vegetables have the natural taste if you just only allow it. Most people have to detox from our regular standard diet. I say it takes about 6 months to get, so you're not intensely wanting sugar, and be utilizing your fruits and vegetables and your lean meat without lading it with, syrups and salad dressings and all kind of other stuff on it. So, but yeah, Dirty 15, buy organic all the time. The healthy versions, you're great. Eat those as much as you can.
Yeah, so basically what we're talking about is anything with a thin skin, like potato, like a blueberry, like a grape. Much better to buy organic, even though you think a blueberry is the healthiest thing out there. Well, it may contain the most pesticides.
Exactly.
So when you are washing your fruits, what do you use?
Surprisingly enough, most people would say, "Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Don't do that." I actually use a little bit of, and this was recommended by a holistic doctor years ago for me, palm olive dish soap. I mean, I'm talking a little that is put into water. I swish it, and then I add whatever salad, my vegetables. I've even put the strawberries and the blueberries in it, and I rinse it, but then I really thoroughly, wash it and then rinse it very well. I have been doing that now for the past 20 plus years. Like I said, when I was so sick, and that's what they recommended. They also recommend baking soda, like white vinegar, and so that it cuts, if there's any waxy substance on it, you can use that as well. I've noticed that the over-the-counter stuff that you can purchase, again, there's other chemicals in it. So we don't want to do that, because you're trying to do something healthy, but then especially the vegetables that absorb, like strawberries or blueberries, you got to be really careful. So like I said, this is just something that was taught to me 25 years ago. I incorporate it. I share it with my clients, and they've been utilizing it. So, but definitely if you're going to use like celery, make sure it's washed thoroughly if you're not going to buy organic, because that's the one of the Dirty Dozens that really contains the most chemicals.
Yeah, and not as much concern with the avocados and oranges and things with thicker skin, but still,
Still wash them off. I still wash off my oranges and my avocados because they can have E. coli or salmonella on it. So I always tell people, please, before you cut into anything, scrub, 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 scrub. So.
Right. Gotcha. So insulin resistance. Talk a little bit about sugar.
Okay. Oh, sugar. It is your worst enemy. If I get a client that comes into my office, the first thing I'm going to have them do is I want a food journal because I want to see how much sugar they're taking in. Your white sugar, your brown sugar is toxic to our bodies. This is what's causing the pre-diabetic, becoming diabetic, because it literally goes into the system and it's processed so quickly. Yes, it makes you feel good. It gives you a little bit of a high, but what it's doing to your interns, your internals, is basically wreaking havoc. It's causing inflammation. It's causing joint pain, headaches, for you to be people to be overweight and obese. I have everybody cut it out completely. If you have to have sugar in your diet, let's do it the natural way, the way God gave it to us, is through maple syrup and honey. And a lot of people say, well, wait, isn't sugar from cane sugar? Yes, but it's the way it's processed that makes it toxic to our bodies. Also think of this. If someone comes down with cancer, the first thing they're going to do is send you to get what's called a PET scan. They put an IV in your arm, and what do they feed the IV? Sugar, because cancer loves sugar. So if you're somebody who is feeding your body sugar every single day, and I'm not talking, a little bit, I'm talking sugary cereal, you're putting sugar in your coffee, you're having pastries, you're eating white bread, and potatoes, because that turns into sugar as well. All of that adds up. So my recommendation, if you want to feel a change in your body and in your health, remove the sugar completely.
So you're gonna go grocery shopping. What are some tips for grocery shopping? Stay around the edges.
Oh, I always tell them everything in moderation, which is so fun. If someone would watch me go to a grocery store, which is kind of funny, I've walked in and out of Costco and they're like, well, aren't you healthy? Because I'm picking up everything that's organic, the fresh fruits and vegetables. There's nothing else really in my cart except vegetables and frozen fruits, organic fruits. So I would walk around with my clients and I have them look at the package that they're buying. Again, turn it over. Is there 5 ingredients or less? Let's make some wiser choices. Is something on sale that's organic, non-GMO? Let's purchase that. Let's look at what you're doing. We want all the food groups in there. We want the healthy fats. We want the lean meat. We want the fruits. We want the vegetables. Now, if you have to have a little snack, I'm going to have people, if they love dark chocolate is very good for the body. So let's choose that over that pastry. I do allow my clients once a week to cheat. Have one meal that, don't go overboard, but we're on this earth. God put us here to also enjoy the buffet. Let's make the buffet full of the fresh, lean, green, and clean foods, and then choose very moderately the foods that we know are not the healthiest for our bodies. So yeah, choose the healthy foods in your grocery cart. Bypass those aisles that got the cookies, the chip, the pop, the over-processed foods, the packaged foods, the canned goods. Don't pull a can of green beans off the shelf. Please go buy frozen or go buy fresh. So that's what I'm going to be telling my clients to do. So.
Yeah, you gave yourself away coming from Ohio when you said pop.
Pop. Yep. Go down to South and it's soda.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with regard to reading labels, you talked about that a little bit, but the first thing on the label is usually the highest amount of whatever's listed, correct?
Correct.
And so what you're saying is no more than 5.
Correct. And also look for hidden ingredients, because sugar can be renamed so many different ways.
Yeah.
So we have to be huge advocates of what we're putting into our bodies. So again, my clients are going to come in and I'm going to have a folder for them that I shut and I say, here, on your leisure, open it up so that you can learn what's in your food. So, and a lot of them come back the next appointment and are like, oh my God, I've never had any idea this was, laced in the food that I've been eating or over processed. Yeah, there's a lot of sneaky ways that they try to fool you so that you think you're eating healthy. It's all natural. Well, carrageenan, yes, it comes from the sea. It's a seaweed, but it's also been known to cause stomach cancer. So you don't want that in your diet. So you still have to be very careful and aware of what you're putting into your system and the people that you love and you're feeding as well.
Yeah, and so we want to talk about, stopping this blood sugar roller coaster. Number one is hydration.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to that a little bit?
Okay, so people with sugar, so that we could keep their hunger levels even so that they're not famished, is making sure that you include healthy fats. So I'm talking about like avocado, organic, cold pressed, olive oil, coconut oil. I am not a fan of any other oils. Those are going to be my top three. Or stay away from your processed like margarines. You want to do ghee. If you have to have butter, that is going to be your purest that I'll tell people, please purchase. First of all, you're going to love the taste and it's healthy for you. The other thing is that with anybody that I work with, I try to incorporate protein, some form of protein at each meal, because that also is going to keep your sugar levels staying stable and you're not going to have these highs and lows. So once we start working together, and some people may need only 3 meals a day. I have some clients that are 4 and 5 meals a day, the healthy nuts. So I incorporate it based on what they're telling me and what their results are. So we're talking, have a handful of nuts because that's healthy oil. That's something that's going to fuel the body so that you're not feeling ravenous. So there are little tricks that you can do so that it keeps your blood sugar stabilized.
What are the more healthy nuts to eat?
Oh, wow. Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, walnuts. They're all great. Some people like, can I throw some raisins in there? Sure, just a little bit, not the whole box, because again, we're trying not to spike your blood sugar. But yeah, all nuts, cashews, everything is great in moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going through the grocery stores still, and we're thinking about, okay, bread. What kind of bread do we want to buy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to tell people don't buy it. Do not buy nope. Get a bread machine, and I'll teach you how. And I have recipes that I give my clients how to make your own bread without it. And it's great. You can make a couple loaves and save it, put it in the refrigerator, slice it at your leisure. There is one bread that I do recommend that I actually purchase when I'm at the store because it's 3 ingredients. It's wheat, salt, and water. And so when I'm not baking my bread and I need something quick, that's, perfect. So I'll use that. But yeah, please don't. I don't even go near the bread aisle because it's so laced with chemicals and fake stuff. And I'm like, do you really know what that ingredients L-carnitine is? I said, it gives it that spongy. I said, yeah, that could be human hair. That could be hair from your birds. And that's what they process. And they boil it down to give bread that doughy texture. So, and again, people who walk out of my office are like, I never knew that. Make it from scratch. It's not hard. We can make pizza crust, out of the breadcrumbs. And like I said, or buckwheat. There's other flours that we can incorporate, spelt, buckwheat, that are healthier for the body, more natural. And we just get them into a routine so that, again, we're not destroying our digestive tract.
Yeah, and I go back to my grandfather. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania near West Virginia, but of course, he worked in a coal mine for a long, long time. But he baked bread once a week,
There you go.
And of course, had 2 gardens,
Yeah.
and didn't even have a tiller. He just spaded his garden, with a spade. When he was 80 years old, I tried to help him. He wouldn't let me help him spade his garden. But people took pride in growing so many things back then, and they both, my grandparents, both of them lived to be 92, 93.
Mhm.
And but that was the food that they ate, what they grew in the garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss those days. My
Yeah.
neighborhood, we had cherry trees, plum trees, apple trees, pear trees. I mean, you name it. And everybody had a garden and we all shared and we all knew how to can. We used
Yeah.
to
Oh,
can
yeah.
food. So, I mean,
Yeah, we had one whole room in the cellar that was nothing but canned food.
yep, exactly. Exactly. And we need to go back to those days. And again, people are being like, it's so stressful. I don't have enough of time. Again, let me help you.
Yeah.
I will tell you how to do this. It really, there's so many. I love our modern appliances because you can foods very quickly without any effort. It's not like what we had to do years ago with boiling and, sealing and all that. So,
Yeah.
and it's so much more healthier, especially for my clients that have babies. I would never put them in the baby food aisle. I'm like, let's get those chemicals. We need pure food for their little tummies and growing brains. So
Right. So while we're talking about the grocery store, give me your opinion of red meat.
um, in moderation, it is okay. But if you're going to be eating red meat, I would make sure you're finding pasture raised, no antibiotics, grass fed, free range, so that and limit. I mean, seriously limit to maybe twice a week. I'm more of if you want to eat something that's meat, wild game is your best. Bison, I think is amazing. It's healthy. It's so good for our bodies, and it has a higher concentration of protein. Elk is amazing. So I would probably push more of that instead of red meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a huge component person who wants people to have a lot of red meat. I feel red meat raises cholesterol in the body, especially if it's overdone. If you're eating red meat every single day, I'm going to have you cutting that back. Going to like lean the chicken, the turkey, different forms of fish, because we got to be careful with our fish, that intake because of the mercury and just the toxins now that are happening in our oceans. So I try to steer more people towards God's, you do not have to be vegan. I incorporate meat, some form of protein, but your nuts, your beans, that type, lentils, so that you're fueling your body, but you're also having this wide range of food, again, to keep your body strong and healthy. Because especially if we're going to be doing our diet, we're also going to need to be doing the exercises as well. So that's kind of the other thing that I incorporate, which we can talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, the American Heart Association promotes the Mediterranean diet, I believe, to some extent still. And I like to eat a lot of Mediterranean food, so I'm down with that. But yeah, and of course, the right kind of fish is important. I mean, wild salmon is what I like to. I don't like the farm salmon, but
No, I would never. I would tell people to run if they see anything that says farm raised. Do not. And there's so many people out there that love tuna. Oh my gosh, tuna is the worst fish that you could put into your body right now if it's not certified, because you need to check the mercury, how much mercury's in the tuna. So I tell clients, let's stay away from it unless you can get a can that says certified that the levels of mercury are low.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we want to get our omega-3, right?
Absolutely, but you can get it in other forms through
Okay.
fats seeds and different nuts, and you can get it in different forms for your body. Sardines are awesome. They're the lowest of the food chain when you come down to the fish. And I love sardines. You can find them in organic with skinless, boneless. And when I started eating them, as a child, I'm like, oh, no one would have ever gotten me to eat a sardine. And now it's like, oh, I love them. So, and they're really the highest with your omega-3s, your DPHA. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, it also puts me in mind of liver for some reason, but all the things I couldn't eat when I was a kid.
No, I would never ever suggest the liver.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a organ that is detoxifying the animal. Why would you want to put that into your system? Especially today. So.
Oh yeah, and then when you were growing up, people would always tell you how good it was for you. You know, yeah, you got to eat some liver. Nah.
Not. I never liked it. My parents tried to serve it to me, and I went, absolutely no.
So, talk a little bit about cereal and sugar content.
Ooh, that's something you need to stay away from completely. There are cereals out there that you can buy that are 1 to 3 grams of sugar in it, but they're going to be your holistic, your non-GMOs. So you can find them in the grocery store. Again, when I'm with clients, I can tell them if they want cornflakes, instead of buying, the Kellogg's cornflakes, here's this cornflakes that doesn't have BHT in it and all the chemicals and so much sugar. So that's something that I tell clients, we've got to get away from thinking that we have to have cereal for breakfast. Let's make it healthy. People don't like eggs. I'm thinking I eat eggs every day or every other day because it's not about the cholesterol. Our grandfathers, our great families from years ago, their cholesterol was in the 300s and they had no heart disease. They were not dying of heart attacks. It is now all the hydrogenated oils, the processed foods, the chemicals that are added to keep them on the shelves longer. That's basically what is killing us and keeping the Western medicine and the big farms happy with their paychecks.
Right.
So we want to reverse that.
Yeah. So your clients, how much do you advocate extensive blood work, and what do you want to see? What do you want them to see with regard to their blood work?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, anybody who, especially if they're going to come in and I'm going to get them on an exercising regimen, I want them to see their doctor. I want to make sure that they're healthy to exercise. And I want to know where they are cholesterol level wise. I will never advocate statins for lowering cholesterol because we can lower it with so many herbs and different foods.
Statins are very popular right now with regard to, doctors will prescribe them to you in a heartbeat if your LDL is over 200.
Yeah, ridiculous. They shouldn't.
Over 100.
Well, what statins does is basically rip the fat off your nerve endings. I mean, it literally goes in, and to me, it has caused more harm than good. And if you look at the percentage, if anybody would do their research, I think it only might help 5%. I mean, at the most. So you're better off by changing your diet. Now, keep in mind, Western medicine is there to help people. If you need it, yes, please always talk to your doctor. But again, we want to go in and see what you're eating. I believe that 90% of our people can reverse what's going on in their body through their diet, through exercising, and through mindset. They have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
That's the key there, because a lot of people want a magic pill. They want to go to the farm doctor, give me something in my hand. No, to be healthy takes work. So if you're not going to take pride with your temple, what you've been given, and you're going to use a pill, you're probably going to stay the same way that you are, and probably be worse off eventually.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about exercise, but some people like to start out with, okay, get your 10,000 steps in.
Mm-hmm.
So you take your average Joe off the street who does not exercise. What's your strategy?
Okay, so I am going to start them off with walking. If they've never ever lifted a weight in their life, and let's just say they're needing to drop 50, 60 pounds, I'm going to have them incorporate cardio with also a reduction in calories with what they're eating, because I want them to count basically it's macros, your protein intake, your fat intake, your carbohydrates. So I want them to start understanding what and how their body is operating. And the first thing is, let's get cardio. We need to get the body moving. We need to start moving the toxins that are in, out. But also, I'm going to have them drinking a lot of purified water also, with a little bit of sea salt. And I have specific sea salts because, again, we got to be careful with what's in the salt. If it's mined in, they may be grabbing sea salt, but if they're grabbing too much of it, you can have a lot of lead. So we've got to go for the companies that, have the lowest levels of lead and other contaminants in it. But yeah, definitely, if we're in Ohio, it's going to be cold, I would recommend a treadmill. As you can see behind me, we get them on the treadmill and start walking. Walk for an hour. If you can sit on a couch and watch a movie for an hour, you could be on that treadmill watching a movie if you're able to and get your steps in, start exercising. Let's start burning calories. And I'm going to want them to go a little faster, not at a snail pace. Let's raise the heartbeat because we do want the body to sweat. So exercising, walking is going to be the first.
Gotcha.
And starting incrementals. If they've never done it, can you walk 10 minutes? Can we add another 5, another 5, another 5 to it until they're walking about an hour? If time's an issue, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. Where there's a will, there's a way.
I have evolved into becoming a walker. And,
nice.
Of course, I still lift a lot, but I think I'm at the point now where I go 3 miles right under 43 minutes. So
Perfect.
I'm happy with that.
That's a great pace.
Yeah, it kicks my tail, but I think it's very important. I love it because there is no impact.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to do with exercise also is I'll do maybe 6-8 sets and then hit the treadmill for 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll walk very fast, maybe in 4.5 miles an hour, something like that, and then go back and lift and then hit it again. I like to mix it up like that some days as well.
Nice.
But and that's the way that I've trained a lot of my clients over the years. I was a collegiate strength and conditioning coach, but for a number of years, I also had a personal training business way back when. So,
okay, that's the perfect, to switch it up so that you don't get bored. So I have a lot of clients that they want some difference to their routines. So we switch it up. They might want to ride the bike, the stationary bike. They might want to do an elliptical, get on the treadmill. But we always incorporate weights because as we age, we've got to keep our bodies, our muscles strong because that's what's going to burn the calories. It's going to keep you from injuring yourself. It's going to keep us standing tall so that we're not leaning forward and thinking you're going to fall. But it gives you those happy endorphins. People who exercise are happy because they feel great. I get into the gym. There's some days I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost 2 hours. I got to go home. But I love it. Yeah. It's like, okay, get home. So yeah, once I get there, I'm in my happy place. So, and that's what I want my clients to feel too.
Yeah, I have a pretty good gym in my garage, so I can relate. And I don't know. Once I moved south, I never went back. So I feel
My whole
for
goal is to get south.
I know why you have a treadmill in your house, though.
Yeah, that's like, so if I'm not at the gym, I work out at my home with weights. Yeah, I've got my treadmill and my weights and my resistance bands. And I also use BFR bands, the blood flow restriction bands, because you want to create your own human growth hormone, which again, as we age, we start losing it. And it also helps, build the muscle and half the time. And so, yeah, I'm a huge advocate for the BFR bands.
I got a set of B3s.
Yep, B3s. I love my B3s.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about heart disease, preventing heart disease. Kind of go there a little bit.
Okay.
Give me your perspective.
So you talked about red meat, pork, oils, sugar. Those are all what I call your four top that are going to contribute to heart disease. If you're going to be eating potato chips, if you're going to be drinking down that can of pop or soda, and then not bringing in any fruits or vegetables, and then you're going to have a sandwich or a big plate of pasta, all those contribute to heart disease. Those top four that I shared with you are the reasons why people today are suffering from heart disease. They're not getting out there and exercising. Their bodies, their livers can't process the toxins. Right. And then what does it do? It's laced with tons of salt, which then raises your blood pressure. And then you feel exhausted. So instead of getting off the couch to go walk, you just think, I better just sit on this couch and just rest. I'm too tired. Right. So the first step is, again, we're going to go back to nutrition. And what does your body need? It needs the lean, it needs the clean, it needs the green.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of my favorite books that I ran across, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease.
That's an awesome book.
Caldwell B. Esselstyn, but half of the book is recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And, he does say if you've had any heart issues, of course, he prefers that you, if you have to get on a statin to get your LDL down, I think he's an advocate of that. But more than that, he believes that you can reverse plaque through your diet.
Correct.
So I never heard that you could actually reverse plaque. And that was some really great news the first time I learned of that. Mm-hmm. And it definitely impacted me to an extent too, with regard to my eating habits. But I just think it's a very interesting book. It's got some great research in there, some great, very specific cases that he makes reference to. Mm-hmm. But he always talks about don't eat anything with a mother or a face.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, a lot of people will say reversing is basically taking out all the meat.
Yeah.
All right. And then incorporating what I talked about earlier, your fruits, your vegetables, your nuts, your beans.
Right.
You can reverse. It's just what the person is wanting to do and how hard they're willing to fight for their own health in their life.
Right. I wanted to mention, and I'm sure you'd like to talk a little bit about this, the danger of belly fat. Mm-hmm. And why is belly fat so bad? And this, we can do a waist to abdominal ratio, a waist to hip ratio. I don't know if you do that or what you advise your clients to do, but can you talk about that a little bit?
All right. So most people, if their circumference of their waist is large, basically what is happening, first of all, I'm going to say, have you been to the doctor? Yeah. Let's get everything checked. A lot of people are swollen because this is going to go back to what the liver can and cannot do for the body. If they're so inflamed, that's going to start creating your other organs to go into this. Basically, they're trying to help you. And so what we do is we end up starting to collect, because your endocrine system, your hormonal system, you're talking your pituitary gland, your thalamus, everything starts working over. And so people then start to build this layer of fat around what is, I consider, your most vital organs. This is your powerhouse. From your heart down, that's where life is. That's where life begins. So if you're surrounded with this layer of fat, we've got to burn it off. We've got to change your diet and the way you're eating. We need to do cleanses that are going to help get your liver to detox so that your body can push out the fat. Now, here's the other thing. Fat stores chemicals. Think about that.
Wow.
So if your body, if you're overweight and you're storing a lot of fat, you're also storing a lot of toxins. So we want to get that out through diet, exercise, steaming, sweating, drinking lots of water, and being physical. You got to get out there. We've got to sweat. And a lot of people too, it's not only the food that you eat, but it's also the chemicals that you put on your body. So we've got to get people aware of that as well. So again, with my practice, I go over everything with my clients because I want you to have the best outcome for a healthy life. But we've got to reduce the fat, especially around the middle section, because guess what it's doing? It's putting pressure on your heart. And if your heart's not healthy, we've got to get everything healthy.
Yeah. So another thing too that I wanted to mention, which is something in our program of vital importance, is slowing down, and we get to the 20-minute meal, chewing, all these things that help you slow down and also contribute to digesting your food better because it starts in your mouth. And I think all that is extremely important as well. Eating until you're 80% full, beginning, having a message to eat, like if you have a scale of 1 to 10, your eating scale, if it gets to maybe 3, it's time to eat something. Because, in our country, basically people get up in the morning, they don't eat a good breakfast, kill themselves with 5 cups of coffee, whatever, go to work. They have a very hectic job. They go somewhere for lunch and maybe eat something that's all not that healthier, or it's a fast food lunch. And then by the time they get home late at night, they're starving. So now you eat this huge meal in the evening, and then you're also snacking before you go to bed. And that's, to me, that's very common. And other cultures don't do it that way.
I really want my clients, I tell them I want them to go into a fasting. I want their last meal by 7:30. And if it's after 7:30, then let's choose something very healthy, a salad. I have my clients prep their food, and it doesn't take tons of time. I'm huge into crock pots, making your meals and then freezing them, so that if you're getting home late or you need something, it's frozen, you take it out and you can go.
Right.
So there are steps that we could take. Again, people want the fastest and the easiest way. My meal preps for the next day sometimes take me 45 minutes. And I'm okay doing that because I know when I get up, I'm having a healthy breakfast. And I help my clients teach them that we do want to go into a healing and repair at night, because that's when our body, when you sleep, you're going into repair. So you want your system to be clear of the food. You don't want to go to bed with food in your stomach, because guess what your body's doing? It's working. When you go to sleep, drink some water, have some herbal tea, go to sleep. Let your system calm itself down. And then when you wake up, drink that big, I have them drink a big glass of water, between 8 to 16 ounces of water. Guzzle that water, because we want it cleared. We want to flush toxins out while you were sleeping. And then we're going to have a great breakfast. Because your body went into healing and repair. Now it needs the food that's going to help you for the rest of the day, give you that energy. And a lot of people who didn't follow this protocol before, after 3 months, are like, ooh, I love it. Because now their bodies are changing a memory and a behavioral pattern that they've had for maybe most of their lives. And it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to make a permanent change. So you're going to fuel your body so that the rest of your day, your body's not, you're feeling better. You have more energy. You're not going to have these ups and downs with your sugar. We're going to keep everything in balance.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to, I'm telling you, we could do this for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to get together again for another.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I have so much wealth I want to share.
Just talk about stress, and how to alleviate stress, but because that's the huge thing. And also hidden inflammation, which we hit on a little bit. But I want you to talk a little bit about Carol and bodybuilding and how you get into that and what that did for you. And, let's talk about that a little bit.
So I was approached by a friend who said, wow, you're in really great shape. And they're like, what do you do? Well, I said, I work out. And they said, would you ever consider competing? And I went, I have always wanted to compete. And so they kind of gave me that challenge. And I'm thinking, you know what, as a certified health coach, I want to show my clients that if I can do it, so can you. So I'm going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk as well. So gosh, when I competed, it was last year, and the competition, I believe, was on October 20th. And this was, oh my gosh, I think I had 7 weeks to prepare. So I got down to making sure that I watch my macros, how much protein, because when you're bodybuilding, you want to put more protein into your body. I was watching the fats, but then I was limiting the carbs. And I'm telling you, those 7 weeks, and I was working. I was in the gym at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. I gave myself 1 day a week not to be in the gym, but I literally transformed my body. And I'm thinking, I thought I was already in decent shape. I went into amazing shape, and I felt my best. People around me were coming down with the colds and flus. I was healthy as a horse. I felt like I slept well. So, and then when I went to compete, it was a blessing, because there were so many people who did the same thing that I did. And now I have such a great respect for people who compete all the time and bodybuild, because it's tough. I mean, there was days I'm like, oh man, I really want a potato chip, which I don't eat potato chips, but if I can have one of my cheat meals, it's Mexican. I wanted Mexican, but I stopped the bread. I stopped eating out. There was no cookies, candy, which again, for me, it was probably easier because I already don't eat that. I don't have dairy in my diet. There's no sugar, but I still even transformed my body and went out there, and I won the 50 and over competition for women. And
awesome.
it was the best moment of my life. I'm like, yes, to hear my name, you won, you got that title. And I was like, okay, this is great. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I have on my program, on my website, people, if they want to get in shape for a wedding, lose the weight for, the weddings, a vacation, I share what I did so that they can be successful. And it doesn't take, like I said, I transformed myself within 7 weeks. You could do it too. As long as you are motivated and follow the diet, get into the gym, you can transform your body. And I call it the NOW approach, Natural One Wellness. Your body knows, you can do it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we normally do is say a prayer at the end here, and I'm going to take care of that today.
I appreciate that. And you know what? I thank God for everything that I've had in my life. I would not be here today if it wasn't for my belief, my faith in God. And that's another thing that we can talk about next time is, you know, how I incorporate faith.
Oh, yeah.
With my practice.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing to me the depth of information and knowledge that I've acquired from taking this health and life certification.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I hear all this going on with the election and everything, and all of a sudden, you know, Kennedy was on the scene talking about what I've been learning about for the last 6 to 8 months. And I'm like, wow.
I'd love to be on his board. I'd love to be hired by him.
Yeah. I mean, so, I mean, it's right on time.
Mm-hmm.
And
I want to be an advocate and start our children and our teenagers now, especially the 20 and 30-year-olds, because if they don't start taking care of themselves in their 20s and 30s, their check engine light is going to come on in their 50s.
Yeah, my son has we got a little 2-year-old grandbaby. She's going to be 2 next Monday, and you don't want to try to give her some sugar with my son around because he's not going to have it.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. It's good.
So, yeah, so he's starting her young.
Great, I love it, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we're definitely going to get together again, and I'll have some kind of theme for us. It's probably going to be on how to alleviate stress. I mean, we didn't even get into a lot of the things that you do for that, and with meditation and so forth. And I also like to mention the value of a sauna and things of that nature. That's very popular, you know, right now, and a lot of people have them in their homes and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So with my practice, like I said, it's total. That's why it's called Total Wellness Coach, because we want to incorporate all the healing modalities.
Yeah.
Because there's what may serve one person may not serve the next person.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to bring in the faith, the crystals, everything that's going to help these people achieve their goals and be the healthiest versions of themselves.
Well, of course, I find that meditating on God's word does it for me. And it's amazing the things that can happen for you, you know, when you meditate on that word every day.
I agree.
Your life can be a lot better, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'll finish with a prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us together today so we might honor the human body and the human mind as a temple. We thank you for Carol and her giftedness in helping fellow human beings live better lives in every possible way available. We pray that our country will begin to become educated at a higher level to avoid disease, physical pain, and that they will find the time to meditate on your word and armor themselves to win every spiritual battle that they may face every day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll get together again.
Yeah, and please share my information, you know, with anybody who asks.
Sure.
So that they can reach out to me, carollaketwc@gmail.com, or just visit my website at totalwellness.coach.
Awesome. And you are international, right?
Absolutely. I do. I actually have clients in Europe, so which is really fun, across the United States and in Europe. So
my skills partner's in Dubai. We had a meeting this morning.
Oh wow. See, I love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they embrace our energy just like we embrace their energy. We're all together. We're all in this together. So
no doubt.
All right.
Girl, take care.
Take care.
To you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Join Coach C, USA Strength and Conditioning Hall of Famer and certified health and life coach every Monday night at 7 for empowering testimonies of faith as diverse individuals from various professions share their personal journey, leading them to spiritual strength through surrendering themselves to Christ. Coach Connors aspires to influence others to choose a healthy threefold lifestyle with spirituality as the powerful foundation.